Lilian,
Hey, s'kemi Holti?
si e ti?
Mirë, si e ti?
Unë shumë mirë jam.
Je, si po shkon me këtë izolimin?
Ah, Në fakt, nuk është me punë nuk është një problem në madh.
Mm.
Po tani është edhe dy javë gjysë që kemi
Edhe unë kam
qenë.
gati 3 javë që punoj nga shtëpia.
Po,
Po
nuk
problemi
është shef, edhe unë dua njerëz që të kem një energji tjetër.
e vërtet, e vërtet. Problemi social është po është çik problem dhe puna e lëvizjes, të gjitha palestrat janë mbyllur. Të dalësh jashtë gjithkohën mund të bësh pak vrap, po të bësh ushtrime është edhe çik ftohtë, nuk është optimale domethënë.
Tamam. Edhe ne kemi blerë kështu dumbbells,
Po, gira, po.
gira që përdorim jashtë.
Unë kam kam ca gjëra të thjeshta kështu, litar kërcimi, jumping rope,
Po,
mat, kemi blerë edhe ca kështu boxing gear.
okay. Shumë mirë.
Po, jo gjëra të rënda domethënë.
Po.
Holti, faleminderit që more kohën që të bëjmë këtë bisedë. Do ta bëjmë shqip apo në anglisht?
Ta bëjmë në anglisht
Apo ta bëjmë mixed?
Edhe mund ta bëjmë mix, po në anglisht e kam më mirë.
Okay.
Mund ta bëj se them me detalje.
Okay. Bëjmë në anglisht atëherë.
Po.
Po edhe në një fjalë shqip mund ta themi se ka disa dëgjues që ndoshta nuk kuptojnë se ideja është që Fitness Shqip është një podcast për publikun shqiptar.
Po.
Edhe domethënë vetëm nga emri, jo domosdoshmërisht do flasim vetëm shqip, se duam të sjellim dëgjuesit shqiptar dhe diçka jo shqiptare, që me idenë që të kulturohet ose të mësoj diçka të re ose kështu me radhë. Kështu që është okay që të flasim edhe në anglisht, po thjesht një term që unë e di që në Shqipëri mund të mos jetë i njohur, do të mundom ta përkthej.
Po.
Dhe ideja është që do bëjmë një bisedë jo shumë gjatë, po do fokusohemi më shumë tek fitnessi edhe më shumë tek crossfiti. Crossfiti është, unë e di që ti bën shumë crossfit. Edhe crossfiti është si buzzword në Shqipëri për momentin. Domethënë gjithë njerëzit thonë du me bë crossfit. Po ka disa kështu misperception ose keq kuptime që çfarë është crossfiti në të vërtetë. Edhe faktikisht në Shqipëri nuk ka një kështu affiliate, nuk ka një official affiliate, CrossFit affiliate. Po të shikosh tek website i CrossFit nuk ka. Megjithatë ka CrossFit Level 1 trainers, një nga të cilët jam dhe unë, që kemi bërë kursin e certifikimit, por affiliates nuk ka gyms. Megjithatë ka shumë palestra që thonë që bëjnë CrossFit, edhe po ta shikosh kanë klasa CrossFit, publikojnë në rrjetet sociale CrossFit. Edhe nuk është CrossFit, është thjesht po them një pjesë e CrossFit. Është thjesht ato gjëra që po bëjmë ne tani që jemi në shtëpi. Ato lloj workoutësh, nuk është pjesën e Olympic weightlifting, nuk ekziston, gjimnastika është e përgjysmuar. Po ashtu dhe mënyra e programimit është thjesht intervale ose përsëritje, nuk janë gjithë këto M-reps, M-om, këto kombinimet e ndryshme. Gjithashtu dhe instruktorët, më në këtu, se këtu ka shumë informacion, ka mundësira për të bërë dhe kursin e crossfitit. Në Shqipëri nuk ka kurse crossfitit, do të shkosh jashtë, është në anglisht kursi, shumë trajnerë shqiptar nuk din anglisht. Është i vështirë dhe testimi. Ti nuk e ke bërë kursin e level 1?
Se kam bërë kursin level 1, po si të me kam bërë atër që CrossFit Kopenhagen ka pas. Kam qenë Asia, kisha qenë
mund të flasësh dhe në anglisht ti, we'll mix it up a bit.
We'll mix it up, okay. So I haven't done the level 1, but I've done CrossFit for like real kind of hardcore CrossFit for, I believe, the past 7 years. And I've had as well exposure to the training program that there is here in Copenhagen as part of it was called the old CrossFit Copenhagen setup. Now they changed name.
That's totally
It's a
bullshit.
I am not a fan in any way, but yeah, that's how it is. A bad decision from my thoughts, but they must have their reasons. But then also when I was in Asia, I actually also did a lot of CrossFit there, where I was also exposed to that setup, both when I was in Thailand and Malaysia. So that is kind of my experience in different cultures, but the grassroots focus of CrossFit training.
I will talk a little bit about the experience that I have in Albania. As you know, in Albania, we have 2 gyms, Elite Sporting Club, and the second gym, which is much bigger than the first one, has this open gym area, which resembles a lot the CrossFit gyms that are here. So we have all the necessary space and equipment to actually do real CrossFit. However, the problem that I see there, except for the ones that we already mentioned, is also the clients themselves. So the level, generally the level among people is not like high. They barely work with the barbell, so to speak. There's lack of coordination, strength, and so on. So that's another challenge for us to get up to that speed. But maybe you can tell us like some advice of like an Albanian who wants to do the real CrossFit like you do, but that still doing the Albanian typed CrossFit. What do you suggest to them? Like, what do you have? Do you have some tips and some, maybe if you try to explain with your own words what CrossFit is, because as I said, like there's a lot of misconceptions in Albania about what CrossFit is, and we have tried with Elite Sporting Club to kind of describe it, what it is, but I think it will be good if it comes from you also.
Sure thing. So in the way that I see it personally, just taking what is this CrossFit for someone who has never heard about it before. In my view and how I describe it, it's essentially looking at all types of different sports activities, be it gymnastics, be it weightlifting and strength, be it cardiovascular activities of running, of rowing, of biking. And you mix it all up. You mix it all up with the best of every type of activity. Essentially, so in CrossFit, you become kind of strong in all these aspects. And yes, if you actually look as well as a lot of these athletes, it's not about being purely thin and doing only cardio. It's also not about being super strong and big and bulky. Because whatever is your strength, you will have another weakness that you have to fight for. So there are a lot of people who, especially that move in from a more bodybuilding training, normal fitness centers that then start at CrossFit, who believe they're very strong and very athletic. They will be exposed to a number of exercises. We usually have to do a combination of strength and gymnastics, where being big and bulky, just having big muscles, but then you will have to, do muscle ups in the rings as they do in gymnastics, and they're too big for that. Or they will have to do a run as well, or some rowing, and they're probably too big for that, and not used to doing a lot of cardiovascular. So just in short, I see it as the best of all different types of sports activities, which is why I find it really interesting, because I'm being constantly challenged and exposed and learning different ways to use my body.
In Albania, there is still this kind of idea, as I see it, that people just want to be big. So it's fitness is mostly seen as a medium to reach a goal, which is appearance, basically. And the culture about doing sports for general well-being and for, avoiding disease and living longer and feeling stronger and all of that is a little bit like on a second plan. But for a bodybuilder, you would say that like it's the appearance, and we have done some other podcasts here that we try to explain what are the disadvantages of the static bodybuilding training versus CrossFit, and I hope that people will understand it at some point. But what is then the goal with CrossFit? Like, yeah, you have this cool, combination of all these different sports, and it helps you build like a well-defined body where you are good in all these different disciplines. But what is the goal then in CrossFit? Like, what could we say to someone that bodybuilding is like, yeah, they want to just look good, but what about CrossFit?
It's a great question, and of course, different people have different goals with how and what they spend their time on, and what their personal goals of exercise is. I think for me personally, it has varied a lot, but my predominant goal of investing so much of my time in CrossFit, in exercise in general, is the energy that it feeds into all the other aspects of my life. Gives me energy at work. It gives me energy with social well-being, with my girlfriend, with my family. It gives me lower stress levels, and generally, from a mental and physical perspective, I can handle more. So it provides a lot of synergy in all other aspects that I do in my life. That's at least one of the more what comes out of this investment of my time. And also, it's secondly, it's very 1 hour of CrossFit is very effective to activate the whole body. You get your heart pumping, you get mobility in shoulders and legs and the back. You activate the whole body of muscles, and it's a high intensity. So you kind of you force the body to have a quicker improvement in strength and cardiovascular in a very short period of time. Because I as a lot of other people have a lot of work to do as well. They want to be social, but they also
so the time element, basically.
Time element, it's very effective. Exactly.
Cool.
And thirdly, it's fun. I mean, I'm not that good at training just alone. I've become better and better at it, but especially what got me going was that you meet other people at these classes. You usually have a pretty good coach that motivates you, but then you have other people next to you as well, who can be at different levels. And when you do these workouts, either in teams or individually, you have other people who, by just being in the same room, it provides some sort of competition, which gives more energy to actually, do it faster or stronger. But everyone's there supporting each other. So it's not a competition as such, but it's a good solidarity.
And even at Elite Sporting Club, we have this, even in the name, the club part is exactly this, that people get motivated just because they have other people by their side to train harder or to become better. But for me, actually, it's also the part where to do the things that I do in CrossFit better. Like, for example, either to lift more weight or to do some things faster, or to get on one of these benchmark workouts and do it better.
Yeah.
That's what makes me kind of feel better after, if I lift a few more kilos in deadlift, for example, let's say, I feel much better, and that motivates me. Just lifting like 5 kilos more, I would train for, a month or two to kind of reach that. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
So,
and just to add some words to that as well, you can see a progression in all types of activities in CrossFit as well, and that also is, of course, a big motivational factor. You can see you become better.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the other topic I wanted to mention here was the managing of, I know that you have a full-time job, so do I, and we have also a lot of other things going on in our lives, side activities and, family and so on and so forth. For me, it's even worse because I even have like a side business that I have to kind of manage. but how then, like, how do you manage? Like, what is the frequency? How good can you become at this sport if you have all these other things? And what if you mentioned also traveling? Like, you travel quite a lot. How do you maintain like a good level by kind of considering all of these different things that happen in life?
Yeah,
With CrossFit.
a great question, and it's for me. It's as practical as I can be. I just simply every Sunday evening look at my calendar for the week, and I try at least after work to always plan every day a session of minimum 1 hour.
Every day.
1 hour every day. So that is something I put in the calendar, but reality always goes to then it becomes maybe 4 to 5 times a week. But usually in the weekends I do like 1 to 2 hours because then I have time after, you could say before noon. You get out the door, you do it. It's a good start to the day, and it just gives energy across. So that I really enjoy. So typically it becomes 4 to 5 times a week that I go to the gym. And what's great about CrossFit then is also, especially now I recently started a new job with many more hours a week. So I haven't had the same capacity to make my own programming. But then I would always know that the only thing I have to plan is just to be at the gym at this time. Because when you're there, there's a coach that has a program for you already planned. You have other people there. So the motivation and energy just comes naturally when you're there. And I bike to and from work. So the way I do it is that I luckily have a gym on the way from work to home. So I would never go home first, leave my things, then change. I would always have a backpack with changing clothes because it's kind of that's a mental hack for me. As soon as I go home,
I
having
think it's
to
for
go
everyone.
out again. Yeah.
Yes.
So my recommendation is always, if you have your training clothes on you, because it makes it easier to, instead of your mind tricking you to just stay at home, because the easy thing is always just stay at home and turn on Netflix, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good advice. So actually in Elite Sporting Club, we see like 6 to 8 p.m. That's where everyone wants to come. And that makes sense because everyone leaves work and wants to go to the gym. Of course, that creates some issues for the gym because everyone just wants to come during those 2 hours. But it can still be managed if someone plans. If they plan correctly, they can do it. But yeah, there is a lack of planning in general with Albanian people. But that's another story. I wanted to ask you also about the facilities that you train in, and also after that, the people that you train with. And the reason why I asked this question is because I mean, I live also here. I've been living in Denmark now for 12 years. And the fitness culture here is obviously much higher than in Albania, no doubt about it. And as I said, even the level of fitness itself is higher. So people train a lot more and more regularly. But like I've trained like also in CrossFit Copenhagen, and to be honest, like the facilities are really bad, in my opinion. Like I don't want to go into the details, but if you take an Albanian and you put it in that gym, they will leave immediately because of the dirt, of the way how many people there are, and showers and things like that. But I don't care because I go there to train, right? But I want you to describe with your own words, like the facilities and what importance do they have for training in general and for fitness? Because in Albania, it's still like it's a thing. It's like I want to go to the gym because of the facilities, not necessarily because I really get everything out of the workout, and that is a bit strange. And then for people, it's also because of the club thing that we discussed. Like what works for you in terms of, like you said, you had a plan, you have this, and you go there. what kind of advice would you give to a person that doesn't do that? They just are either spontaneous, or they are not so motivated, or they don't have the time even to train 5 times a week, but they will train 2 times a week. Things like that. Like the people that you are there with, what kind of motivation do they give you, so that you want to go there and train?
Yeah. What at least started for me what gave me the most motivation in the beginning was honestly the people. There's a social motivation when you, for example, make an agreement with another person to meet at a certain time. It gets you out the door, because then someone's waiting for you, and that was kind of got me going in the beginning. And then you meet other people come in the same time, so that social factor was important to me in the beginning, just to get you out the door basically. And but not so much anymore. As soon as that became it became more of a motivation of simply just kind of getting out the door and having a good coach. So I think the most important aspect that I have seen across many different CrossFit boxes I've been to, both in the US, in Asia, across Europe, especially in Denmark. It has not been so much the facilities, it has been the coaches. It is very, very important, at least for me, that a coach that is driving a session is someone who has done the sport for many years themselves. They know what they're talking about. They can show you how to do the exercises correctly, because there are a lot of exercises, if you've done incorrectly or shown incorrectly, it can negatively impact your body.
Yeah.
It's not just like a fitness machine where it's pretty hard to do something wrong. Here you're doing free weights, you're 60 to 80 to 100 kilos can be flying around essentially with the weight bar. And this has to be done in the right technical movement pattern. And it's important that you have a coach that knows what they're doing. That is one thing. B is then also that they can motivate you and has that energy and can bring the energy that is in you as well, to perform better, or to give it that extra 10% or extra 20%. And then when you have that coach, you have that relationship as well with that person, because that brings you out again to join the next time and the next time. So it is not so much, because a lot of these facilities of CrossFit, they're not the most clean. Some of the equipment are pretty used up, and usually there are no machines at these spots. There are kind of rigs where you can do gymnastics, and then there are different weights across. But there's also no mirrors, and so you look at how you're doing it. So you need other people, and you need to have a feeling with your own body, and that's where a coach is one of the most important things for a gym.
Yeah. We also didn't have mirrors in the beginning, but we had to, because it became impossible. But yes, I know why the CrossFit gyms don't have mirrors, and I understand the reasoning. It's just it doesn't work in some places, unfortunately. Yeah. So a lot of people that come to our gym, they are just looking to lose weight mostly. But how does CrossFit help them? Because most of the clientele we have is women, and they're either interested in losing weight or building their legs mostly. Whereas men, on the other hand, they say like, no, I want to be big, and doing this CrossFit, I don't become big. Could you, from your experience, try to give your experience also from the people you train, but also your own experience, and about these two areas, like the losing weight doing CrossFit, building legs for women, and also building like muscles for men?
Yeah, I mean, I started honestly CrossFit myself to lose more weight. And I saw that I did a number of different sports. I also did spinning a lot. Running was never my thing. I tried that for some time. I also tried different other sports, but the only thing that caught a hold of me was CrossFit. And so the way it worked for me was, it's a cardio burner. So of course you activate your heart, and you burn a lot of calories, but you always need to mix it as well with strength and activating the full muscle groups, because that also gives a higher use of calories as kind of an afterburner effect. So there's also, of course, a lot of, you could say, bro science in a lot of these aspects, but founded in what is the purpose of what you watch, what is your goal with the training that you want to do. So if we just take losing weight, for example, the number one is you can never out-train your diet. You can train 5 to 7 times a week, but I mean, if you're still eating pizzas and chocolate and chips and, you know, whatever, cake and every single time, it won't matter. Of course, you can still be healthy, but you won't see the scale going down. I'm not saying that diet is the right thing, but it's important that you eat the right types of food. So especially when you begin a training program over some months, when you start maybe training 3 to 4 times a week, and prior you have never trained before, of course you'll see impact pretty quickly if you continue the same diet. At some point you will stale because the body adapts, but it's important there to continue with, you could say, eating salads, no dressing, eating lean meat from chicken, especially if you're a vegetarian, to, for example, you get a lot of protein from beans and other aspects. So diet is a key component in this. And there where CrossFit really brings a strength is because you get the full body exercise, both strength and cardio in a short time. Now for guys who generally want to become stronger,
yes,
that is definitely a possibility as well in CrossFit. And actually, I would say you become much more stronger in CrossFit than you do in bodybuilding, because bodybuilding, you just get big muscles, but they can't really do a lot. But also in a lot of, especially in Denmark, just being big is not, depends which part of the society groups you're in, but it's generally not seen as positive upon. It's more about being lean and strong,
and healthy,
agile and healthy. That is more in scope. And that you can get more with CrossFit than simple bodybuilding using machines.
It was funny because I showed some of the CrossFit athletes, the elite athletes that compete in CrossFit games, to some guys that were coming up to our gym with this argument, and they were like, "Whoa, okay, not bad." So there is definitely a muscle growth component in CrossFit, because you do lift big weights.
Exactly.
So
I guess one of the things that can people who are new to it, which I've experienced myself, friends who are introduced to, you could say, some of these Olympic weightlifting aspects, clean and jerks, the snatch, because they're very technically hard.
yes.
So people will usually have to start just with the barbell. Even that would be a trouble. Very few people in the beginning have the mobility of the shoulders, of the legs, to actually do these things correctly.
Yes, that's
so
correct, yeah.
That can be something that can create an annoyance, and can make people just to leave it completely, because then the only thing they can then do is just do burpees and box jumps, right?
That's exactly the issue in Albania, as I described. They associate CrossFit with just running, doing some burpees and some jumping squats or whatever, and then that's it. And
Yeah.
if they go to the weightlifting part, they say, but deadlift and squat, it's better for the back, so I will leave those. And then this clean and snatch, this is impossible to do because it looks very hard. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Rowing and like skiing equipment and also air bike are almost unknown, and we have introduced those in our gym, and when people actually use them, they really see the benefits of them. But
Yeah.
there is a lack of knowledge in general, I would say, about these things.
Yeah.
So if people want to become big or use this hypertrophy, what is it, the word in English?
Hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy, yeah, hypertrophy. They can still do it with CrossFit. It's just that, it's also a choice of people. But I will say in Albania, almost all the guys will just go to traditional static machines, and they will not do CrossFit. And then when I tell them like, okay, let's try bench press, or let's try squat or deadlift, for me that I don't do static weights, but I just do CrossFit, I will definitely outperform them. So even though they say like by becoming bigger and stronger, doing the static machines, I'm strong, I would say like no, because I've not done that, and I'm like I can lift more than you.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's everyone's choice. We basically, would you agree with me that the world fitness trends are towards functional training, CrossFit, and this type of full body, intense, effective training, as opposed to the old static machines? Which, I mean, even here in Denmark, I think the static equipment part on the gyms is kind of vanishing and becoming like a side thing now. It's mostly the open areas, CrossFit liked training that they're investing on.
Definitely. I mean, across many different sports forms, it's usually a combination, but more and more focused on the functional, full body functional aspects of it. So it's a lot of using free weights. It's the whole body, both, for example, thrusters is a great example of an exercise where you both use, activate the core, the back, the legs, the shoulders, including mobility and strength and cardio. Everything is kind of acted by that. And it's not my favorite exercise, but I mean,
it's hard,
it
hurts. Yes,
it hurts, but I mean, it activates everything. And I mean, you need maybe 5-6 different machines to activate the same muscle groups in the same exercise. And then also a lot of the things that are done on machines do not transition into actually movements outside the gym.
In real life, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if you go for a run in real life, you go hiking, if you go out swimming or these aspects, honestly, I can feel a lot of these things which I was not good at before. I have just automatically become better through doing a lot of these exercises.
Yeah, because that's the whole idea of doing functional training, because it also helps you in your daily life. Like all the exercises we do give benefits in real life, whereas the static ones is just. And the thing is, like for us that actually have a full-time job and sit in front of a computer most of the day, going to a gym and sitting again on a machine, that's like, to me, it's, I don't want to sit. I just want to like move, like run or go out or bike or do something, and then go again and sit on something. That's, yeah. Another question I would like to ask you is like, let's assume that, you started CrossFit and so on, and now you want to become better at it. And of course, being consistent, we already know it's like, that's the thing you should do. And following the diet, we also mentioned that a bit. But like, what should you do to become like better or good at CrossFit? And I'm not saying just the normal stuff. I'm saying like, you need to kind of make a plan, because CrossFit is hard, right? So if you want to become really good at this hard stuff, you need to have a plan and do some certain things. What do you suggest to a person that, let's say, is beginner but has the motivation, let's assume, and is willing to put some efforts into becoming better at CrossFit?
Hmm. So I'm assuming it's someone who has the drive, already part of a club, and have access to a coach or a good coach who already knows that.
Mm.
And if they don't, there are also some good options that I've used myself, with which I can talk a bit into. So what I would always recommend someone starting into CrossFit, the number one thing you have to build, just looking at it from like a pyramid perspective, the bottom of the pyramid, you need a good fitness. You need a good cardio. You need your body needs to be able to handle the stress that comes from doing different exercises. So build that up. Start you learning the basic movements. Everything from the burpees to the even air squats, the lunges, the push-ups, the different all those aspects, the running, the rowing, even using some of the body weight movements to start with, the low weight barbells. Start with that. No need to jump into anything high weight until you have that foundation built. And that in itself will give a lot of motivation, because you can see a quick progression just with those activities. You will become more lean. Assuming of course you follow eating healthy, but you become more lean. You can feel you become more better. You can do more stressful activities with before being tired, and it gives a good mentality. On top of that, I would start tweaking and learning more about the technical aspects of doing these weightlifting. It can seem annoying right in the beginning. So maybe the first couple of sessions, because you're using your body in a way that you've probably not done before. You have to become much more mobile. Your shoulders, your knees, your hips. But as soon as you kind of get that going at a low weight, and you start kind of putting together a lot of different movements, power movements like the clean and jerk and the snatch, it becomes so much fun how to see you can always do it better and better and better. It's really an improvement aspect. And I would start with that just as a separate, not combining it to like a WOD with using your heart at a high level, because that comes later, where you combine heavy strength together with cardio. That's a bit more advanced with, barbell cycling, as they call it, where you're kind of always, while your heart rate is up, you're doing these snatches and other aspects.
Yeah, multiple cleans with low weight, but still doing a lot of them.
But you're still doing a lot of them, yeah. And usually when you become tired, then you lose technique as well. Yeah. So first and foremost, always keep technique as the number one. Never jump for, let's say, a PR is my recommendation, especially from beginner to medium, if you lose technique on it. Because once you lose technique, you know that's where shoulder injuries, back injuries, all that things.
It's prone to injuries.
It's not worth it. The ego trip about it is not worth it.
Yeah.
And then, very importantly, the gymnastics aspect.
Yes, I will confess that I'm still struggling with those, especially with handstand and muscle ups.
Yeah.
Also a little bit with the pull-ups, the what do you call the chest to bar. I'm still struggling with those, but that's also because, and we'll talk about this also, knowing your body. But I know my body much better than I used to just by doing CrossFit. I have very long arms and very long legs. That's my anatomy. And I've always had trouble doing pull-ups. Always. It's like it has always been a problem for me. I can do pull-ups, but not so many. And then I had a shoulder injury for many years. And one of my shoulders is actually even like visually it's less than the other one. And that has not helped me for pull-ups. So I've still struggled with those. And then with the alignment of the handstand, it needs a lot of practice. And I've practiced a bit, but not enough. And muscle up has both together, so it's like the worst thing for me. So I'm not there yet. I don't know about you. You probably are more advanced than me in those, but for even me, I'm not like And I know it requires a lot of practice and also patience a bit.
And my recommendation is always this. So what I used to do in the beginning, I would usually just warm up a bit, and then I'd set up 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I would just set a timer on, and I would just say focus on this exercise, just ring muscle ups, and every single exercise can be scaled. And let's say if you've never done ring muscle up before, there are maybe 5 different exercises you can split up, and you can do like 5, 5, 5, 5, and you repeat it to kind of, let's say, just the swing. You get the swing, you activate the core in the right way. You figure out how to hold in the right way. You can put the rings down where you use maybe your legs to do the movement, where you kind of get yourself on top of the rings, just so your body gets a hang of it. A lot of these things can actually be found online. How to transition step by step to one certain movement. And what I actually did was I would, after my warm up, I would just set a timer of 15 minutes and just try those transitions. And then you do that maybe the first, let's say, couple of times, 3-4 times, and then you can already feel a huge improvement. The problem is usually that people will stay away from exercises that they're not good at.
Yeah.
And because it's pretty human, right? Like, oh, that is something I'm not good at. That is my weak point. I'd rather look at something that's my strength and do that better, because that makes it more fun. My suggestion is do the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's what also Matt Fraser does, right? And he has become the champion for 4 times now already, and probably will not stop until, I don't know, something happens.
He would put his key, what do you call, his key weakness point as number 1.
Yeah.
And he just,
and it's funny
on that.
because I think the year before he became champion for the first time, he became second. And he became second just because of one event that was, I think, sprint or something, or one of this, and then he focused on that like crazy, and then he was like the first. After 2-3 years, he was the first in sprint.
Exactly. It could have been sprint and rowing as well.
Okay.
He hated rowing.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty small and compact, so he just would spend 1 hour rowing every day.
Exactly. So yeah, that's definitely a good approach. But it's a bit counterintuitive, as you said, for people. So it requires a lot of kind of efforts for people to do the change.
I mean, I don't do it either as much as I want to, but yeah.
Me neither. So everyone has room for improvement. So
exactly.
And talking about this, one of the things I also like about CrossFit, as I mentioned, is knowing my body. Like, for example, I have really bad hip. Basically my body is not good for weightlifting and gymnastics, and I will explain why. My body is good for like cycling and endurance. That I've been doing now for many years, and I'm good at that. I feel good with it. I've run marathons. I've ridden bike for long distances and felt good with that. But when it comes to weightlifting and gymnastics, suffering. And I one of the reasons, as I mentioned, was the anatomy, like long levers.
Mm-hmm.
But also not flexible joints, and that is terrible. Like squat, I've dealt quite a lot with doing the proper technique with squat. Like my hip mobility is not that great. And then the same thing with shoulders. I remember when I first started trying to do snatch, I couldn't put the bar. I couldn't keep the bar, like just the empty bar overhead.
Yeah.
Now I can do snatch like 50 kilos, which is a good improvement as compared to that time. But like I like also this part of like knowing my body. Did you also have the same experience, or did it help you in that regard at all, or?
Definitely. It's also because I was never used to before starting CrossFit to use my body in the same manner before. Exercise to me was either just the simple machines, or biking or running maximum. Here it was you're kind of activating all types of parts that you're kind of not used to. I also, after the first couple of WODs, you felt muscles that you were hurting in that you didn't know before.
Yes.
And I felt as well that a lot of different activities that I could do afterwards was simply learning from a lot of the activities that I was doing in CrossFit. So I fully hear what you're saying.
Have you discovered any of your like weak points and things you want to improve more? Which exercise or which areas are those for you?
So it's interesting. I think my weak point and my strength are together.
Okay.
I have very, very flexible shoulders. My anatomy is built at least for the snatch and a lot of other activities. It's a big strength of mine. Because
how much do you snatch? What is your PR?
90 kilos. A bit over 90 kilos. Yeah. Of a body weight of 75 kilos. So it's okay for, you could say, because I'm not doing this at anywhere near a professional level. And this is just something that gives me energy for other aspects in life. But it's fun to follow. But it's also, while my strength, I also had a shoulder injury from a competition that I went to in cross, like a fun competition. But there, my shoulders were a bit too flexible, so I had to do an overhead. What do you call it? An overhead squat, 1 rep maximum. You have 200 people there, clapping, cheering, and then at the competition, I hit my PR. And I felt still strong and motivated. I went 10 kilo up. I got that as well. Okay. I'm like, okay. And the timer was going down. It was 100 kilos. Okay. Was my 10 kilo above the PR. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to do 110. I did that as well.
Okay.
And then I got 115. That failed. And it kind of didn't rip my shoulder, kind of like did a push, where I also had a shoulder injury for about a year.
Did you do a snatch to overhead squat, or you just started from the rack, or how?
Starting from the rack. Oh, okay. So behind the neck, and then you do the push press.
What is it called? Snatch push press or something. Yeah. Cool.
That was fun, but also, again, never bring your ego to such competitions in this way. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah. So that's you need to be careful of that. I mean, the problem is with these higher weights that the danger of damaging your joints it goes to the roof once you go into unknown territories, like lifting weights you have never lifted before. You never know what could happen.
Yeah, and maybe just with regards to injuries, there's of course some common misconception that with CrossFit, there's a higher risk of getting injured. And many studies have been done on this, and just looking at the science across a number of different sports areas, there's a good study. I can't remember the exact name of the study, but it was looking at the number of hours per sport that is played, resulting in injuries. I think maybe per 1,000 hours of sport, what is the resulting kind of injuries that could come out of it, looking across different sports. Soccer has actually double as many injuries per 1,000 hours than CrossFit. And that's because it's much more of an impact sport as well. You're running, and your body is in different positions where you both have to kick, you're tackled, all these aspects. But you don't hear people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't play football because it's risky." You hear people saying you should maybe not go to CrossFit because it's risky. But the data behind it is wrong, or is misunderstood.
That's an interesting, yeah, an interesting point, and I didn't know about the study, but it makes sense. And actually, to be honest, the injury I mentioned in my shoulder, I didn't get it from CrossFit. I got it from something else that I did. But I haven't gotten any injuries from CrossFit. Like, of course, I didn't go to do the the stuff you try to do. I suck at overhead in general. For overhead, because I've been cycling a lot, I have like good strength on my legs. But except for the hip mobility, as I mentioned, but it is the muscle on my legs that kind of helps me. Whereas overhead is I completely suck, and that's because I've actually measured. If I take a bar overhead, it will be like 2.5 meters or something. So I'm lifting the weight like really a lot, and that I need to spend more energy to do that, and so I'm not very good at that yet. But I am fascinated by the weightlifting part. Before I started CrossFit, I didn't do any weightlifting, and I've been spending a lot of time on those and improved quite a lot. I didn't know any clean or snatch, but I've spent quite a lot of time with good trainers, not from CrossFit Copenhagen, but other good trainers. Cool, but actually, I don't have any more questions per se now. It's almost like an hour that we've been talking, so it has gone really fast, extremely fast. I just hope that the conversation we did in the beginning is not lost, because I'm recording this and it disconnected for a second and then it just resumed automatically. I hope that it will be saved. But yeah, I really appreciate your time and the nice chat here, and I hope that people will listen and you know, get some tips and kind of maybe motivate them to pursue CrossFit.
Yeah, it's really been a pleasure as well, and thanks for the invite. It's a great great podcast, and I've heard some of the others as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
thank you.
You know, keep it up, and especially this COVID-19 times. Even though people won't be in the gym, just get out for the fresh air. And do even just some minor actions for those listening is a great thing to do for both for the body, but also just so you're not mentally going crazy from being inside.
But it's a bit tricky in Albania because different from Denmark. In Albania, you are not allowed to go out even.
It's completely locked. Okay.
Yes, and to go out, you have to get a permission, and the permission is only for 1 hour. And you know, it's not so ideal. So, but in our website we actually put a lot of WODs. I don't know if you follow us, but we have like daily WODs, which me and my brother, we designed them. They're body weight stuff, but it could be fun. Maybe one day we could, you know, remotely train together and do one of those workouts.
Yes, definitely. I do the same with we're a small group of friends here where we do daily WODs, which I program myself. But I should use yours for inspiration.
Yeah,
as well.
We do it every week. Of course, some of them are not that advanced because, as I said, like the people are not super advanced. Some of them are, but you know, you can combine them in a lot of different ways.
Definitely.
Cool. But thanks again, Holti, and yeah, we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah. Bye for now and stay safe.
You too, Ledian. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.